We both know why you're here, and that's to talk about the next Fallout.
In the wake of some pretty erroneous PR disasters in the video game industry, namely Diablo Immortal and Fallout 76, I thought it would be fun to take a look at some of the past disasters in the video game industry. I'm Radical Edward for Less Than Epic, and this is the top 5 worst video game launches. At our number 5 spot, we have Assassin's Creed Unity. This game had just about every software glitch a game could possibly have at launch, from FPS drops at random intervals, complete game crashes, and even some of the worst bugs and graphical glitches any AAA game has ever seen. This game really did have every issue a video game could have, sometimes to hilarious or horrorous effect. That is absolutely terrifying. At our number 4 spot, we have Batman Arkham Knight's PC launch. If the console launch was bad, which it was, then the PC launch was an absolute disaster. The game was full of glitches and suffered from issues like poor frame rates and constant game crashes. Many retailers quickly refused to stock the game since the customer service issues became almost unmanageable. Even Steam, an entirely software-based distribution service, removed the game from their store due to the amount of issues the game had. Warner Brothers, the game's producer, had to come out and apologize for the game and was forced to offer refunds to any customer who wanted it. It should be noted, however, that the game's publisher seems to have fixed the issues and the game is back on Steam, as well as other retailers, for purchase, and also seems to be regarded as a good game. At our number 3 spot, and this is where the game launches start to border on legally unsound, we have No Man's Sky. This game suffered from the usual game crash and performance issues like other games on this list, but that's not where gamers took issues with No Man's Sky. The main issue which consumers raised was that No Man's Sky was not what it was advertised to be. For instance, the game was advertised to be multiplayer, but because of the expansiveness of the game, the developer, Hello Games, claimed it would be nearly impossible for you to find another player in the game. It took gamers less than 24 hours of the launch of the game to prove with absolute certainty that the game was not, in fact, multiplayer. While the game's developer did eventually deliver on the promises of the game's hype machine, it took them years to finally do it, and while the game is now getting fairly positive reviews, there's no doubt that on release, this game was aptly dubbed No Man's Buy. Coming in at number 2, we have Fallout 76. The train wreck of this game's launch is still unfolding as of the release of this video, which should tell you just how bad this has been for the game's publisher, Bethesda Softworks. While Bethesda seems to be trying to keep good faith towards their customers and their product, the list of issues with this game's launch has been long, and not even all of them are with the game itself. For instance, the $200 collector's edition was marketed to come with a canvas bag, but it instead shipped with a much cheaper nylon bag, much to the ire of consumers. As for the game itself, we may as well call it Bug Out 76, as the game has been riddled with gameplay issues, server crashes, performance issues, and even some bugs so bad that players were being locked into suits of power armor, unable to move. We're not going to cover all of the bugs here, but suffice to say that Fallout 76's launch is going to go down in history as one of the worst game launches of all time. It should be noted, however, that Bethesda remains vigilant in trying to fix all of the issues with the game, even releasing a roadmap as to when they plan on fixing each individual issue. Even with all of these issues, Fallout 76 still does not top number 1 on our list, but here's what does. Final Fantasy XIV. Of all game launches, I think Final Fantasy XIV has to be regarded as the worst AAA disaster in all of gaming, and it's one I personally got to be involved with since I dove straight into 1.0 of this game. This game didn't just have performance and access issues for players. The issues were so deep that the game literally had to be completely redesigned and remade from the ground up. A few examples of issues noted with the launch of the game included copy-pasted terrain in literally every zone, nearly no endgame content or content in general like dungeons or quests, as well as a slew, and I mean a slew, of performance issues on literally anything but top-end gaming rigs of the time. The situation was so bad that the game's original producer, Hiromichi Tanaka, announced his resignation as the game underwent a complete rebuild. under a different producer and different development team. Roughly 3 years after the initial launch of the game, Square Enix, the game's producer, finally made good on their promise to rebuild the game for their consumers by releasing Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. A Realm Reborn was widely accepted by consumers to be a great game, and to this day is one of the most popular and complete MMOs on the market. So you might assume that the number 1 spot on this list was the hardest to pick for, but actually it was the number 5 spot. We had a few honorable mentions for the number 5 spot, including Elder Scrolls Online, which had a ton of game crash issues on launch, along with many players being unhappy with the product in general since it wasn't much like other Elder Scrolls titles. We also had Diablo 3, which had similar issues, including one extremely common issue which locked players out of the game, now memeified as Error 37. Finally, on our list of honorable mentions, we had World of Warcraft. Blizzard was so unprepared for the scale of this game's launch that their servers were constantly crashing due to the sheer amount of people trying to play. Anyway, this has been Less Than Epic's top 5 worst video game launches. If you like this video, then like this video and be sure to hit the subscribe button and bell icon so you get notified when our videos go live. Thanks for watching everyone, and this is Radical Edward for Less Than Epic, signing out.